Yo, it's your boy Deese. It's about to go down. I'm just gonna tell you like that. Peace of the planet, by the way. Um, this right here, one of my favorite juices ever that I make. I make a lot of juices. If you're not up on the Gracie diet, look into it. This is not a Gracie diet approved juice, I don't think. But red apples, green apples, lemons, turmeric root, ginger root, black pepper, Himalayan salt. Stop playing. 3 words, get off me. This is ridiculous. But I needed a good, strong beverage because I'm about to tell you things that I've never talked about before. Listen, I am many things, right? Jiu-jitsu, teach chess, teach stoicism, right? Islamic history, uh, hip hop stuff, and there's more. I'm a complex human, and I know that this makes me hard to understand for a lot of people. I'm hard to understand for me, so I empathize with all of you and apologize in advance. But there's a big part of me that has not been telling all of my journey, and I have done it because of low self-esteem. I have done it because I um have too much respect for people that don't respect me. I don't want to kick up too much dust, even though I'm known to be a dust kicker. And this is one of the first things where I start talking for real about 7 things I learned through Tupac or from Tupac directly through just like being his friend. But it'll probably end up being more as I keep talking. I'm also going to share a chapter of my book, A Dead Man's Diary, which, as you might imagine, is unpublished. But I have some things from my time with him that I never really talked about, and I'm going to read that chapter to you here today as part of this thing. What I need you to understand is this: I don't talk about him a lot because it hurts my heart. Uh, because we met before the fame and everything, we were legit friends, and there was a lot of cool things that I experienced with him and through him or because of him. And so, you know, like when a lot of things come out, people be like, "Oh, did you watch this on Tupac or did you watch that?" And the answer is no, because it gives me PTSD. I can see a kid with a Tupac shirt on and it'll almost make me cry because it reminds me that my homeboy's dead. I know he's a big star. I know he did movies and music, and he would never believe as big as he is right now, but he was still my homeboy. So if you saw people wearing t-shirts of your homie, it might catch you off guard sometimes. It's not even like they shouldn't wear it. It's just like, damn, my G though. Okay? So be patient with me because this is not an academic discussion. So I met Tupac, as I've said 100 times before, through Ray Love, who I think at that time was still a part of Strictly Dope. And then they had the One Nation thing. My group was called One Nation. It was me, DJ Disc from the Excelsior, uh, FM20, AK Black, who was originally known as 12 Gauge from Hunters Point. Uh, this dude named Black Swan. I feel bad. I feel like I might be leaving somebody out. And so by default, because FM20 was involved, Qbert, Mixmaster Mike, and Apollo were kind of affiliated. And, shout out to Alex Aquino, you know what I'm saying, and all the other Bay Area dudes. And we were not to be trifled with as a group. We were serious. I don't mean like we were thugs and whatever, but I mean you could get knocked out. But what I'm saying is we really didn't run around like that. But what I'm saying is I met him through Ray Love, who I met at a house party from this girl who was living down the street from me at the time, who was from Santa Rosa. And that's how it all really popped off. That's how the friendship popped off. So I meet him at the Sex Packets Digital Underground party. Sex Packets was the debut album from Digital Underground on the what was that damn label called? Why am I tripping on a label? Anyway, who cares about that label, blood? Because probably didn't pay anybody right anyway. You know what I'm saying? Give everybody their money, dog. I'm just saying it. Tommy Boy, give everybody their money, dog. Anyway, so we meet at this Digital Underground party, and that party was historic. Let me say right now, there should be a documentary on that party done because it was insane. I don't mean it in the Diddy party way. And this is one of the things that I hate about what a lot of Diddy and Russell Simmons and Africa Bambaataa and a lot of these other weirdos in the game have done to hip hop and the people that enable him. You know who I'm talking about? There's more than one. Anyway, their party was so dope because at that time, they call it the golden age of hip hop because it was a golden age. Hip hop was so new that the industry didn't know what to make of stuff. So you had NWA, you had De La Soul, you had Paris, you had Public Enemy, you had Kwame, you had the DOC, you had NWA. You know what I'm saying? It was really a dope time. And if you weren't there, we can never make you feel that because hip hop was new. Hip hop was new. It was brand new. It's such a $1 billion industry, and everybody sells everything from fried chicken to shoes and everything else with it now. I can't tell you what it was like to hear a mixtape when nobody had this shit. I can't tell you what it was like to get to the record store that had the one record that nobody could get a hold of, and you knew where to get it, and you knew where to get the shoes because he told you. You couldn't go to no mall and just get everything, but you had to go where you would absolutely get robbed or shot trying to get some shit. I remember going to Eastmont Mall, man, and getting this dope ass leather goose down on my birthday, bro, when I was like 18. And the hardest part of getting that goose down was getting from the store, nigga, to the car. Oh my God. I was so sure we were going to get jacked. Remember they had the Arab store at the end? They call it the Arab store. I shouldn't say that, but that's what they called it back in the day. I apologize. I'm having flashbacks. It's PTSD. Remember the Arab dudes in the back who were Muslim that had the gold on a roll and you could come out with the dookie chains and be like, "What's up, fool?" Remember them dudes? They were cool. Anyway, I'm trying to paint the picture. The Sex Packets party was a great party because they kept hip hop fun. Hip hop used to be so fun. And that's one thing that I feel bad right now because all the fun today is in syrup, Percocets, and hella violence and fentanyl and just hella poison. And I miss that time. And I wish that that time was here now, but it ain't. Sex Packets party bonkers. So I go up in there, and you got to understand, I am a straight nerd. Now, I had a rap group, Freedom Troop 187. At that time, Freedom Troop 187 was about to happen, but had not yet happened. I was friends with a guy named Brett Davis, also known as MC Hilo. Rest in peace to my G. He had so much impact on me. I think him and James Bernard, also rest in peace, had more impact on me as a thinker. Hilo, Brett Davis, James Bernard, and Tupac's godfather, Geronimo Pratt. Changed my life. So Hilo, I just met him. I was working at Tower Records with Jason Slater, R.I.P. Sonic Jihad. That album, industrial metal album. Don't start getting freaked out Islamically. Sonic Jihad. He did security. Me and Jason were cool. Hilo came in. Me and him start talking. We become cool. He's connected to Digital Underground. He's the guy. If you look at Do What You Like, they're at this hotel having a big ass party. Hilo is the nerd behind the desk when the party's happening. That's MC Hilo. He was also a bass player. He was also an incredible rapper. He was also an incredible historian, and he taught me how to be a historian. I learned how to be a historian from my father, from James Bernard, and from MC Hilo. Freedom Troop 187 was me, Rob Ski, DJ Rob Ski from Daly City, now known as DJ Rob Flow. He's off the chain. Go follow my boy at DJ Rob Flow on IG. MC Hilo and yeah, that was the core of the group. And we had an album, and Dell's on that album, and A Plus and Pep Love are on the album. I was a real MC, y'all. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I know what this looks like. I really did it. I really did stage. We did rock stages. We opened for Gangstar in their prime. Stop playing. I'm saying at the Omni. Most y'all don't even know if the Omni exists. We was at the Stone when people get shot and stabbed, and I got trampled in there. Anyway, I'm trying to give you the framework. The party was off the chain. It was packed. I walk in, I see the dopest woman in the room, and I said to myself, "Hey, these dudes did what you like, bro. You should go see if she'll dance with you." I got no shot. She said yes. She said yes. And I can't even dance. I wasn't used to women saying yes. She said yes. We out there. Everybody do what you like. See guys and girls dancing. But hey, Pop, what's up? Ray Love. Money. It's good. That party was off the chain. Somebody needs to tell Eric Arnold to do an expose on that party. It was historic, but it ended horribly. Um, Too Short was at the party. Anybody that was anybody was at that party. DJ Fuse did one of the best sets a DJ could ever do at that party. But unfortunately, and I do mean this, Too Short's limo driver was shot in the face in the alley behind the club, which I think was Club DV8. And then the cops came in and shut everything down, obviously. It was so crazy. Everything was so it was so tragic. I remember the cops coming in from the alley door and the lights coming on, and what a horrible way to end such a beautiful event. Um but at that thing, me and Tupac changed numbers. You feel me? So then we become cool. I've already talked about how he broke down books to me. Like he taught me the importance of reading majorly. And, he was always quizzing me about books. And I was supposed to be the knowledge guy at that time. And I was years behind his reading, right? Because he was raised by a Panther. He was raised, you know what I'm saying? And given some of the most powerful pro-black poetry and history. Asada Shakur is his godmother, Geronimo Pratt, who's set up for a crime he didn't commit, and Johnny Cochran got him off after he did 25 years, and Geronimo sending me letters from jail, mentoring me from jail, and then giving me messages to get to Tupac. This was my life. And so me and Tupac had a ton of different stories. We talked all the time. So I remember before, hold on, let me make sure I do this right. So we talking all the time, and I'm always going to Chinatown to go to Kilu Nyasha's place. Killu. I'm about to botch the last name. Nysha. Yeah. Kilu Nyasha was one of the first women in the Black Panther Party. She was in a wheelchair, and she was a ferocious intellectual who had in her personal possession interviews with almost every Black Panther you know, on audio, or had interviewed them. And she used to have these political classes that she would teach at her house. I met her because me and AK Black were performing at San Francisco State. I did so look, I'm a high school dropout. I have a GED. I was at San Francisco State and UC Berkeley campus so much doing rap related shit that most people think I went to either one. Cuz sometimes I was writing for stuff on campus just cuz people thought I went there. I didn't go there. I went to Laney for a little bit. I went to Skyline College, not high school, college for a little bit. That was it. And so, um, he taught me about the importance of reading, right? And Hilo was helping to groom me in that way. I remember at some point, I'm gonna let that go. I got too much to say. So, Digital Underground gets ready for their first. I've never really told this story. Digital Underground is getting ready to do their first tour. And so they would rehearse at this place called Jackson Street Studios on Jackson Street in downtown Oakland. And so they kind of decided to have this thing where they were going to like let you see their stage show. It was kind of like a party plus you get to kind of see what they're doing because they're getting ready to go on tour. So Pac's like, "Are you going?" I say, "I'm going." So we go, and everything I listen, I told you that everything I tell you happened. There were only a few people out front of the studio when this happened. And because they were performing inside, a lot of people didn't know what was going on. But if you talk to enough people at a certain point, the 6 or 8 people, I'm sure from those 6 or 8 people that were out front, one of them or two of them is probably still alive and can vouch for what I'm getting ready to tell you. So it's hot in the Jackson Street studio. It's packed, hella people are there, it's hella dope. Tupac's like, "It's hot, bro. You want to go outside?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." So as we get ready to go outside, these dudes are trying to come in. I can't tell you how violent Oakland was at that time. I was in Oakland all the time. I'm not from Oakland, but I was in Oakland all the time because I was bouncing around Laney, taking a few classes, um, and I would do my homework at UC Berkeley campus just to try to get intelligence through osmosis. I thought if I did my homework at UC Berkeley campus, I could be smarter because I didn't think I was good enough to get in because I was a high school dropout. And so we see these guys getting pushed away from the door, like y'all can't come in, da 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 da. Fuck y'all, whatever. Okay, cool, whatever, nigga. We go outside. So we standing outside talking about whatever, and then like I don't know, man. Those dudes drove by 5 or 6 shots. Pop, 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 pop. I'm there's like you know how like you have the storefront with the window down. I mean with the big metal door down, and I'm when the shots pop off, we're on the sidewalk, kind of in front of Jackson Street. Tupac drops behind a car, and he's in a crouched position behind the wheel well. I'm standing against the wall, kind of rolling. Like, you know how if you would roll on fire? That's how fucking frozen and weird I was. I was kind of rolling against the roll down door. And Tupac's like, "Bishop." And I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "Nigga, get down." And I'm like, I look, he's behind the well. I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah." So I get down, and then when they drive by, he picks up a bottle and he throws it at the car. "Bitch ass niggas, fuck y'all." Because he was mad that anyone would try to harm Digital Underground or what they was doing. Like he had not yet become a roadie, right? But he loved everybody in Digital, especially Shock. Because Shock used to look out for him in the best way when he was at his lowest, pre-fame. Okay. I look at Tupac in the middle of the street, and there's a guy to my left. He got a high top fade, jean jacket, jeans, some beads, like a yellow or some kind of like dashiki type shit on. And I remember he looks at Tupac and he goes, "Man," because nobody believed he threw a bottle at the car. And somebody said, that dude said, "Man, Tupac is crazy. One day somebody gonna kill that nigga. I swear." And I remember looking at the dude because I didn't know him. Now I looked at Tupac, who's still in the street with his back to me, and I said, "Who is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy? And why is this guy saying that to him?" And then he walks over to me. He was like, "You okay, nigga? You was hella dumb. Why didn't you get down?" I said, "I'd never been shot at before." He's like, "All right, blood. You cool?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's go back inside. Let me explain to you about the insanity of being a black man at that time." Violent. I had been around a lot of shootouts at different hip hop shows. The first time was a Fresh Fest, like 6ix9ine was tearing shit up. You would have to know what the 6ix9ine was and what it meant. Anyway, Oakland shit for real. Um, that's the first time I tucked my chain because they was taking shit from everybody, and my goal was fake anyway. Blood, I'm a nerd. So in some ways, I'm used to it, but in other ways, I'm not. You feel me? I'd never been that close to gunshots before, but Tupac had. And he checked on me, and I was cool. And we just walked back into the party like nothing had happened. It was so weird. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. I don't even know where the shots went, right? Like, I'm assuming one or two things. Those dudes were the dudes that couldn't get in because I've seen that happen before. I almost got shot more than once like that at Oakland fucking venues when dudes couldn't get in. They try to shoot up the front. Um, and my boy Mark, they used to call him Cato, Mark with a C. He can vouch that I almost got my brains blown out at this other thing in Oakland one time when these niggas couldn't get in. But what I'm saying is, because a bullet, I literally turned and the bullet missed my head. Like it hit the wall as I turned right. If I would have been, "Hey, she's pretty," boom, I wouldn't even be here. That's how fucking violent Oakland was. Anyway, me and Tupac go in and just, it's like life is normal, which tells you how crazy the times and black men were. Anyway, rest of the party was dope. So in that way, Tupac kind of saved my life, in theory. Because if he didn't tell me to get down, I wouldn't have got down. And if them bullets would have been in my direction, I really would have got fucking hit. I've never really told that story before, except to DJ Vlad. But then DJ Vlad, like, he just started talking about the story sometimes, and like, I told him that story so many years ago. He just, he told it wrong, and so I just wanted to make sure I told it right. Um, and so in that way, he taught me that the street shit was real. It wasn't just for show and tell, and that you had to know how to actually move when it went down. Because if you was black in the 90s at that time, the chances of it going down, especially in Oakland and shit, in San Francisco, were massive. So now tell another story. So some of the main clubs at that time were the Palladium in San Francisco, which was right next to, or it was either right next to one strip club or in between two. It was off Broadway. The Stone, which was on Broadway. I performed at the Palladium. I performed at the Stone, and then Oakland had this spot called the Omni. The Omni, and I'll tell stories about those places later. On this particular night, I don't remember who performed. I think Freedom Troop 187 opened up for Fushnikins, and that was when Conscious Daughters made their first debut as a girl rap group, and they tore shit up. I was not ready for that. Shout out to Conscious Daughters, for real. Shout out to CMG, RIP Special One, you know what I'm saying? Peace out to my boy Paris, all of that. It was a great show. And while I was back there, this incredibly beautiful woman starts talking to me. And if you've ever seen the movie Harlem Nights, this woman looked like the character known as Sunshine. Look up Harlem Nights Sunshine. Uh Ridiculous. And so she starts talking to me. And I've already told you, you know how I look. I'm not used to this. Because after the shootout when the cops came into the digital underground thing, I never saw that fine girl again in my life. So we're gonna call her Sunshine because I don't remember her name. So Sunshine's talking to me, and I'm like, this is crazy. And we exchange numbers. This is crazy because girls don't like me. I was immature, looking like a nerd, really pro black, but not really all in line, just trying hard. And so Um, the Fushnikin show was crazy. I go home, I'm chilling. A day or two later, she calls me and she's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "I don't remember her." Genuinely, I wasn't drunk, I wasn't high or nothing. I, I had already stopped drinking, and I didn't smoke. I didn't remember her. So, being a suburban guy who was into pranking people on the phone, which I did a lot. Remember prank calling before fools could really have your number and come see you? I did it a lot for fun. I think she's pranking me. I think this is a girl in the neighborhood or something. So I'm like, "Oh, you remember talking to me?" She's like, "Yeah, remember?" Da, 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 da. And I didn't remember. So I was like, "Hey, you know what?" Because I'm like, I'm not going to let this girl play me. And basically, I said a lot of stuff I shouldn't have said, like a lot. She was so offended and shocked. And I heard her be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" She was like, "You know what? We talked for so long at that club. I thought you were cool, but I see how you are." And she hung up. And it was at that moment that I realized that was Sunshine. Oh my god. So I called Tupac and I'm like, "Bro, do you remember that girl who's backstage?" And he was like, "Yeah, you were talking to her." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Bro, I forgot." And she called. This is what happened. He was like, "Do you know who her brother is?" I was like, "No." I don't remember whether he said that her brother was one of the dudes that ran wild in the jungles in Marin City or Oakland. I don't remember where the dude was from, but he was like, her brother will absolutely have some niggas kill you. And I was like, what do I do? And he was like, "I know her and I know her brother. I'll talk to him." And then he checked me really hard about um respecting women, respecting black women specifically, but all women in general, and paying attention. And I was really apologetic. I was like, should I call her?" He was like, don't call her. Because then you're just gonna piss her off. She's gonna tell her brother more, and then you're gonna get fucked up. So I was like, okay. So that was my Sunshine story. But Tupac taught me a lot about what it meant to always be on point, to respect women. I needed to say that. Black women specifically, all women in general. So now we're gonna fast forward. Now, it may not have been the Fushnikin show, but I feel like it was the Fushnikin show. I went to the Stone a lot and we did a lot of shows there. So I'm not sure. There was this other one where It was Freedom Troop 187 with the coup, and I think FM20, and it could have been at that show. I don't remember. But then the 89 earthquake happens, right? And then that messes up Broadway because there was a long tunnel, and you used to holler at girls in the tunnel because it would be car to car. You know what I'm saying? The cruising thing. And it was like the freeway got broke from the earthquake, so then it messed up all the traffic, and that whole kind of scene died. But the Stone was still a legendary venue, like Metallica. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Run DMC had the Red Hot Chili Peppers as an opening act, like back when I was in high school. That was the first time I remember them, and my boy went, and it was crazy. Anyway, I was grounded. My parents. If you know anybody, they'll tell you that I grew up grounded on restriction. Crazy. So fast forward to when. All right, now I'm gonna read this part from my book. This is a true story, a story I've never told before, and I'm taking it out of my book entitled "A Dead Man's Diary." This chapter, "You ain't never had a friend like me," which is, a famous song by Tupac about friendship. So, all of my research on the actual dates are not done on this. I think it was 1992. I'm pretty sure. We have to check with Tembisa M. Shaka to make sure. So I'm going to read this to you now. Um, Forgive me for anything that's wrong date wise or whatever, but the rest of this is absolutely. The year was 1992, fact check. San Francisco's Gavin Convention, a radio and news publication, was being hosted by Gavin Magazine. At the helm, the one and only Tembisa M. Shaka, although it might have been the guy before her, but I was pretty sure it was that one where she was running it. Her job was to host panels on industry and cultural trends, helping to inform aspiring artists uh, the in and outs of the business. And it's hard to tell you what those days were like, mainly because it's hard to visualize. Uh, okay, so it was ground zero for all the awesomeness at the Westin St. Francis Hotel. That's where everybody went. Walking into that lobby, one might see the following people chilling and talking and sitting around in the lobby laughing and rhyming. Eric B. and Rakim, the brat. I saw her yell at these white people and make them get off of the elevator because they were afraid. We got in, it was like me, her, Jermaine Dupri, and some people. I wasn't with them. We just all got in the elevator together. And these old white people in the St. Francis were like, the woman was like, my God, like holding her pearls. And the brat was like, hey, you hella racist. Get your ass off the elevator. It was hella crazy. Anyway, Stevie B, Spring Live, remember? Egyptian Lover, KRS-One, X-Clan, Ice-T, Eazy-E, Fugees, and many more were at this one hotel. And you could just see them all sitting around. It was wild to think about how far people came from all over the country to be a part of these conferences. And in these times, I really think it's part of why they called it the Golden Age. The only thing cooler than the conferences were the shows at night. Several clubs had amazing sections where they would have the dopest only touch the mic. Getting into these shows was always crazy. And if you didn't have a proper badge, and I could not afford one, these things were expensive, you could not get in, and you had to have somebody put you on. That was it. The front of Club Townsend on Townsend Street in San Francisco was particularly worse than the usual zoo it was always known to be. Any rapper who wanted to claim any high status wanted to be on stage at Club Townsend. Cold weather, long lines, and the biggest names in the game made it extra hype on everything. Um, I'm not sure whose list I was on. I said whatever I had to say to push past the security gate. And when I opened the door, I had a lot of people behind me. So I just kind of put my head in and like stumble rushed in to this wall of noise, weed smoke, laughter, and everything else you might expect at a rap show at that time. To the right of the front door was a payphone. And when I came in, my boy Tupac was on it. When he saw me, he smiled and he was like, "What's up, Bishop?" But I was lost in the wave of bodies and went right past him. I didn't see him and I didn't hear him. Pac was very hurt by this, very hurt. And he bumped into the manager of Freedom Troop 187, our first manager. His name was Bobby McCall, who was Money B's dad. Shout out to Bobby McCall. He used to run the Commemorator, the Black Panther newspaper, and I wrote for it. He got me on to writing that. I met him through Kilu when she would have her sessions on Pacific Avenue. And Money B's pops was dope to me. He opened up a lot of doors and helped me get writing, helped me get some shows. And so, you know, he had told Bobby that I dissed him. He didn't know why, but he was really pissed off about it. So Bobby was sure there was no way I would ever wait, hold on. Bobby was sure there was no way I would ever front on Tupac, and he started scouring the club, try to find me before Tupac did. Because Tupac was like, Bishop dissed me, fuck that dude, we thought we was cool, we always talk, blah, blah, blah. So meanwhile, in some remote corner of the back of the club, I'm pushing my narrow frame through the club, excuse me, pardon me, with no room. I saw a path by the bar and thought if I weave my way through it, I could get there to get closer to the stage. All I wanted to do was to see Run DMC hopefully perform Together Forever. That is my favorite Run DMC song of all time. And I got a lot of Run DMC songs that I love. But that song, in fact, you should Google that, pull it up on YouTube or whatever. Yo, that song was epic and still is. I didn't know if they were going to perform it, but if they did, I had to be up front. So, as I walk through like an Egyptian, because I'm like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, pardon me, pardon me, pardon me, excuse me. I see Bobby waving me over. And he's like, hurry up, man. He's looking at me upset. And I'm like, oh shit, let me. So I got over there as fast as I could. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, what happened with you and Tupac tonight? I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. He's like, what happened with you and Tupac tonight? I'm like, I ain't seen Tupac all night. Is he here? And he's like, yeah, he's here. He said he saw you coming through the door and you ignored him. You hurt his feelings, man. He's mad. I'm like, okay. Now, honestly, one of the cutest things about me and Tupac was his emotional ways. It was his best and his worst attribute. He and I could talk off on the phone and pop off about all kinds of silly stuff. And I think that one of the most misunderstood aspects about him was his humor and his joy. But he was a genuinely sensitive guy. If he had love for you, it cut him super deep if you turned out to be a traitor, as later life would show. Bobby, you know I love Pac, man. That's my man. I said, I swear, I didn't see him. Is he still up front? Like, where is he? I'm demanding, like, where is he? Where is he? And I'm pointing toward the door. It's like, is he up there? Bobby shrugged. He's like, we're in a sea of hundreds of people. I don't know. I don't know where he is. Man, listen, Tupac was standing behind me and to my right, about 10 feet away. And if you ever seen that scene in the elevator of Juice, that face, I swear to God, this was pre-Juice. Yo, he had that look, bro. Because Bobby is facing me, Tupac is back there. And I turn around and he's like, oof. No love. His eyes were always so intense, just like his smile. Like, he reminds me of Malcolm X. Like, people always who knew Malcolm X talk about his smile. And it even comes up in Spike Lee's movie Malcolm X toward the end. His smile was magic. Tupac's smile was magic. And so I turn around and we're both looking at him. And he was too far away to hear me. But he was close enough to see my face. And he knew I didn't front on him. I was just looking at him like, he's still like, and I smiled and I put my hands up playfully. And I cocked my head and I was like, I started yelling. I'm like, Pac, bro, you know I would never fucking diss you, bro. You know I would never fucking front, bro. Come on, man. Come on. You know how crazy it was at the front door. You know how crazy it was at the fucking door. I didn't see you, man. It's fucking loud. Come on. And everybody's like rocking and shoving and shit. And I'm like, you know I got love. Come on, man. Come on. And he's looking at me like, no love, no love, no love. And all of a sudden, this little smirk starts cracking his stone face. And then he was like, it's all good, Bishop. He kind of cut through. He gives me a pound. We hugging. And he's like, I know you got love for me, nigga. That's why I was tripping. And I was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And he goes, hey, let's go to the front. I'm like, cool. He's like, where the hoes at? There's too many dudes up in here. Come on, bro. So we start cutting through. We get into the front, get into the front, get into the front. This is a verifiable thing. Because I know when I talk, people be like, these just be talking shit. I promise you, if you look up and find MC Search, who I do not know, he can tell you that this event happened. We cut towards the front of the stage. I had seen MC Search, who doesn't really know me. I gave him a copy of the commemorator at the time. He was like, oh shit, this is crazy, right? Because I had an article or something in there. And he knew Search. And so Pac turns to me and says, hey, we're going to hit the stage in like 10 minutes and do a little freestyle, nigga. You want to jump on with us? Tupac asked me to do a freestyle on stage with him and MC Search. Now, my group at that time was still kind of getting its name known, right? But we were not signed. We never signed a deal. But we did rock mics and we did kill stages. And I was up to par. So I wasn't worried about my skill set, if I'm being honest. But for reasons I still don't know why, I said no. And he's like, come on, Bishop. This is the Gavin. Come on, man. And he's like mean mugging me, like, come on. And I'm like, no, man, it's okay, bro. Just go kill it. I'm gonna be right here. And he shook his head and his face was down. He said, nigga, you gonna regret this. And he shrugged, boop, and he goes. They disappeared backstage. 20 minutes or so go by, and then him and Search come out. It wasn't like a classic show. What they, they had these things where when rappers would do things, they used to have like what was on their record, and then they would do routines. Because this was a spontaneous routine, it was kind of like a freestyle thing. So look, they come out, ironically, so Search starts. And here's the thing. I don't remember everything he said, but I do remember Search at some point said, he started talking about politics. Maybe because I had given him the commemorator, maybe because him and Pac were talking about whatever. But he was like, he goes, you see what just happened in Tiananmen Square? You don't think that could happen right here? And the crowd was like, oh. And like the crowd went crazy. And then Pac gets on. And like, I'm not going to lie. I don't remember one thing he said. What I remember was how electric his control of the mic was and how his charisma like bled into the crowd. Everybody was on fire when he was on the mic. Everybody was on fire. It was like a 5 or 3 minute thing. And then, it's probably closer to like maybe 10. But they dominated the stage. MC Search and Tupac. They dominated. And a few minutes later, he came behind the wall and he was laughing at me. And I was shaking my head. And when he got close to me, he was like, I told you, nigga. I told you. Huh? You regret it, don't you? And I was like, I do. I do. You killed that shit, my G. You fucking killed it. And he was like, yeah, it was lit, right? And we were just like being fans. Like, it's this weird thing when you're an artist as much as you're a fan. And I miss that part of hip hop too. Right now, everybody artists is too, I think this, man, like, nothing makes me happier than to find the fan of hip hop in a star of hip hop. When you can be that fan with me, when I can see that in you, it's electric. It's special. So we laughing our asses off, right? So like a few minutes later, Run DMC got on stage and they did a bunch of songs, but they hadn't done the one I wanted to hear. So I gave Pac a pound and I started to swim against the current towards the door. And just as I got to the back of the club, right or the front of the club, DMC says, "Hey, yo, man, can we see the mics, man?" That's how Together Forever stops. And when the bass dropped, Club Townsend went fucking crazy. The sounds, it was like boom, cha cha cha, boom, 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 cha 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 cha, boom. It was fucking nuts. It was crazy. I just screamed. Oh, I couldn't believe I was so lucky to see this performance. And the house went buck wild from front to back. My jaw dropped. I was standing in the crowd, gone absolutely insane. And I was looking for Tupac, but in the infinite sea of bodies, I couldn't see him. If heaven truly has a ghetto, I promise you, Tupac is right there tearing down the stage, just like he did on that night. Like, like I will, I will have to get Alzheimer's or have some really bad thing happen to me to not remember that event, to not remember how he looked at me, to not remember how Bobby's face was when he saw me. Um, and on that one, he taught me what happens when you don't have courage in the moment. Like you can talk about being a star, you can say you want to do this, you say you want to do that. I could have rocked the fucking stage with Tupac, and something held me back. I still don't know what that was, but I should have done it. I fucked up. So now we're gonna look at this crazy situation when I was supposed to record and do a song with Tupac. So there was this guy named Taj Tillman, Turntable T from Oakland. OG producer. I think he still lives in Atlanta. I haven't talked. If you know Taj Tillman, tell him to holla at a scholar, man. Say Deeks want to holla at you, boy. And he did a lot of production stuff with a guy named Jimmy Drite, who was a big part of Digital Underground. And MC Hilo, again, RIP to a real G, introduced me to Jimmy. And me and him started working on a demo. Talking about me, Hilo, and Rob. I had met Rob at Costco. I was wearing a lynch mob shirt that Dell the Funky Homo Sapien had given me when I was over at his house pre High Road Blowing. He gave me a lynch mob shirt that Cube had given him. And so when I would wear the shirt, because I look like a nerd, everybody like, how the fuck did this fool get the? And I'd be like, yo, I'm cool with Dell from the lynch mob. But like no one knew what Dell looked like at that time, like outside of Oakland, really, and or LA if you saw him running with Cube. So people are like, what the anyway. I had the shirt on in Costco. Rob was a checker. He's like, where'd you get that shirt? I'm like, Dell. He's like, what? We hit it off immediately. Me and Rob ski. It's on, right? And I already knew High Low, and now we have Freedom Troop 187. And I'm writing for the source and rap pages and shit, all this at the same time. The Bomb, 4080. So the Bomb magazine, 4080 magazine. For those that remember when people used to read stuff on paper. There was a time. And so Jimmy Drite was running a new group. When Digital split up, he started a new group. And that group was called Force One Network. And so Jimmy had this house. I don't really remember. It was somewhere in like the hills of Oakland, kind of something. I don't really remember where it was. But we would record there. And one of the people in the group was I can't even believe I'm Googling this guy right now. Dave Hollister. Yeah, Dave Hollister was in this group, Force One Network. Put out one record on the Quest record label. And if you see the Force One Network wax, if any of you have it, you will see the Force One Network theme song. And the Bishop is given writer's credits. Me and Brett and I, however you want to say it, like once he got the demo ready and he got Quest online, I'm talking about Jimmy, they started recording at the plant. The plant is an epic recording studio in Marin City. I mean, Stevie Wonder. I'm talking about Santana. I'm talking about incredible albums were made at the plant. And so we're going there to record. I wrote the rap for the Force One Network theme song, but I had originally recorded the rap, and then Jimmy Drake took me off because he was a dick. Jimmy, he didn't really take me and Brett seriously, but he mostly didn't take Brett seriously. This is not to say he wasn't Brett's friend. This is not to say that he was a hater or anything, but he did not take Brett seriously as an MC. And we were doing shows. I don't know why that. Well, I'll tell you what he told me later. But in any case, it comes up that he wants Tupac on the album, and he wants me, Tupac, and Brett to do a song called Static. And Taj is going to produce the beat. So Taj makes the beat. Me and Tupac talk on the phone. We get the track. Hilo writes his piece. I write mine. Pac writes his. But for some reason, I remember us not talking a lot at that time, but knowing that we were supposed to record. And so let's say, all right, we're going to record on March 8th at the plant at noon. Don't fucking be late. And then Brett calls me. He's like, yo, we're not recording. I was like, why? He said, oh, Jimmy said they need to do some musical shit, whatever. What really happened was that Jimmy recorded the song with Tupac alone. And me and Brett were not on the song. And it had nothing to do with Tupac. It had everything to do with Jimmy. Many years later, after he died, I asked Jimmy, why didn't you let us on that fucking song? You saw how hard we were working. And he told me, he said Brett never actually rapped until he met you at all. Brett was known to be a guitar player, a bass player. He was like, he goes, I didn't know him. He goes, I didn't believe you guys were really doing it. But bro, we had fucking demos. Spin Magazine wrote about us, dog. We were on fucking stage doing it. Jimmy was giving money, man, to so many people who weren't doing shit. And me and Brett were driving out there all the time, and he wasn't giving a shit, bro. And one day I was like, man, what the fuck? What are we gonna do, Brett? And like he hit Jimmy up, and then Jimmy gave him like $600. We split that in half. I got the writer's credit for the thing. But like, I mean, Brett was a great musician, man. He knew music, he knew music history. And he really loved Jimmy. And you know, Hilo died of like a cracked aorta. And I went to go see him because he didn't have any family to go see him. That's what they told me. I went to go see him, and I prayed over him, and I left because they were like, he's probably gonna die. He was in ICU. And then like a week later, he calls me. He's like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "What's up?" I made it. Come up. Come to the hospital. I go back. I can't believe my best friend is alive. And so this was years later, bro. And we become cool. Like, not that we become cool, but we start talking all the time. And then it happened again. He died in his sleep. My son was young. I never got to introduce him to my son. But Jimmy told me that Brett never rapped until he met me, so he didn't trust it. It was fucking shit. if you would have seen the shit he was wasting money on and the people he was putting on, it's crazy. Um, but Jimmy is a great musician and he always has very creative ideas. But he didn't do me right and he didn't do Hilo right at all. Ironically, after giving me and Brett $600, taking us off the tracks and devaluing the whole shit, the Oakland firestorm burned his house down and the masters were in his house. That impacted the Force One Network album dropping, and Static didn't even make it on the record. Um, and I remember talking to Tupac, and he would be like, I was like, what happened that day? And like, he recorded, you know, and Taj made the track. I think if you go on YouTube and Google Static, you can still find it. But that's the track I was supposed to be on. And there is no lesson from that, except for sometimes people are assholes for petty reasons, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So then there's the last time I see Tupac in LA. You know, he gets busted for this thing. I didn't know whether or not he had done what he was accused of. I didn't write him at the time, and I felt bad about it. But you know, we our our connection was spotty at that time. Then he gets busted. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I wanted to write him, but I didn't. I was always writing Geronimo at the time. And I didn't want him to be that way because you got to remember, this is the guy that told me to respect women, especially black women. Obviously, when he got out and he explained what happened, it made sense. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't want to believe it, but I fell victim to the hype, and I just didn't ask him straight up. And I had his address. I was gonna write him, but I didn't. I was afraid that if he did do what they said he did, it would have just broken my heart. So alhamdulillah, that wasn't the case. But I didn't know what to make of him at that time. Anyway, long story short, I'm in LA with my boy Alex Daniel. If you don't know Alex Daniel, he's an incredible uh, painter. He did, I think, all the music for the film 93 Till Infinity, the documentary about hieroglyphics. I think he used the music director for that. And this guy is incredible. He painted jazz portraits that were put in the Smithsonian. This guy is unusual. He makes my favorite meditation music. It's all on Spotify, YouTube, whatever. But I mean, he's a gifted Renaissance man, Alex. So me, Alex, and some other folks went to LA on a road trip. We end up going to this club that I don't remember, but Alex might remember. And we're out in line in front of it. Like, this is when the death row is at its peak and shit's wild. And Tupac pulls up with these dudes in a fucking drop top 6'4" Impala. This shit is like out of a movie. He's got like the Carhartt jean jacket. He's got a beanie on. Niggas like, everybody's like, oh shit. He's with these Crip dudes. That's the only thing I'm sure of is that these niggas is Crips. He hops out. He tries to get in. Security don't let him in. He's yelling at him. They're not letting him in. And when he turns around, I'm towards the front. And he's a little drunk. And he doesn't recognize me. It's been a couple years. I saw him when he got out the first time he came to the Bay after he got out. But it had been some time, maybe not years. It had been some months since I saw him since he got out. But he didn't recognize me because I'd never be in LA. He's never seen me in LA. So he looked at me, I was like, what's up, Pac? And he was kind of drunk. So he was like, oh, peace, Bishop. And he kind of straightened up. Like, you know how, like, like if you're in front of, like, you know, like your pastor or some shit, he kind of like straightened up. Because he knows I never really seen him like that. He's like, what are you doing? I said, man, I'm chilling. I said, I just talked to Geronimo, though, and he wanted me to tell you something. It's crazy that I see you. So I tell him what Geronimo wanted me to convey. I said, you need to go write your uncle as soon as you can, okay? And he was like, yes, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna write my uncle. I was like, all right, cool. He goes, all right, Bishop, one love, dog. And as he runs back to the car, helicopters, all these police show up. The whole fucking thing gets shut down. LAPD used to be crazy about hip hop, man. And Death Row and all them dudes is inside. So I was like, fuck it, we out. So we just bounced. And that was the last time I saw him alive. That was the last time I saw him alive. And on that time, I learned that you don't really know the last time you're going to see somebody alive. Oh, man. So, so I mean, I've told the story on History of the Bay about the time I saw Tupac crying when Public Enemy performed. So I'm not going to tell that story. Um, and I've talked about this only once before on the Immerse podcast on YouTube. Shout out to Dan and Alex for having me on. But for me, Tupac died twice because when he got shot, my friend Dre, aka Game Boy, aka Goldie, was on the strip when he got murdered. And he called me. Wasn't even on the news yet. I was at home. Phone rang. Yo, man, they just killed Tupac. I said, what are you talking about? He's like, bro, I'm on the strip. He's like, they shot him and Suge up. It's crazy. He's like, I'm like, well, is Suge alive? He's like, yeah. He's like, right now they got all the dudes from Death Row hemmed up in front of a 7-Eleven or like a liquor store, and they're checking for him to see if they got guns, but they don't have guns. I said, how is it that Death Row don't have guns, knowing everything that's going on right now? He's like, I don't know. This shit don't make sense. Whatever, whatever. We got off the phone. I start crying. It's not even on the news yet. And I'm like, you know, I knew Layla Steinberg from way back when she used to manage Young Black Brother Records, Mac Mall, and Kyrie and Ray Love, and you know what I'm saying, all them dudes. But I wasn't fixing to call her, and I had never known Afeni. And so even if I could track her number down, I'm not going to be the bearer of that news. Bam, it comes on TV. But then he lives, and I'm like, oh shit, my boy's alive. This is great. And then he dies. So he died twice for me. He died twice for me, and so did Hilo. That's a weird roller coaster. Not fun. And from that one, he taught me you fight to the end, no matter what it looks like. Um, those are the main things that I learned from Tupac. I'm so grateful to him. Even now, you know, I listen to his music uh, all the time just to feel close to him. And his music is so relatable already. Uh, but he was such a special human, and I'll talk about him another thing. You know, so special to me. He was so special before the fame. He was special during the fame. He's special now, and you know, whatever you gotta say to the say it. Whatever you gotta say to the world, say it. You don't know how long you got. Voice is important. You just don't know how you'll impact the planet. He expected to be big. I don't think so. I don't remember who said it back in the day. There used to be somebody in the 80s or the 90s be like, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So that's what I'll tell you. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Um, DM your boy if you got any more questions. Follow at Bishop Chronicle. You know what I'm saying? And I'll do some more Tupac stuff down the line, but I gotta let this one settle. Thank you for sitting with me and listening to this. And there's gonna be more stuff like this coming. Promise you. Not just about Tupac, but about way more stuff in it I've seen and experienced. If I fucked up any dates, sorry. One love, West Side.